Buenos dias, Presidente.
Buenos días a usted.
In the United States, we hear that there are severe economic problems in Cuba. Is this true?
Bueno, sí.
Well, yes, we do have economic difficulties,
Igual que la tienen todos los países de
like
América Latina
all countries in Latin America,
y del resto de los países.
as well as the rest of the developing countries.
No usar la terminología
Not to use the third world term, which I know, Ted, you don't like.
Esa dificultad las hemos tenido.
We've had these difficulties for a long time now,
explicables en parte.
which are, to a certain extent, due to the fact, if we take into account that the United States has been blockading the country for over 30 years
La economía,
and sabotaging our economy,
prohibiendo exportar
prohibiting the export even of aspirins to our country.
Es posible incluso que tengamos mayores
It
dificultades.
is even possible that we might have greater difficulties in the future, depending on how events evolve in Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union.
Pero a pesar de todo,
But despite everything,
nuestros niveles de salud
our health
están
levels
por encima de cualquier otro
are
país
above
en desarrollo
any other developing
y por
country,
encima
and
de
above
muchos países
many
desarrollados.
developed countries.
Nuestros niveles de educación están
Our educational
igualmente por
levels
encima de
are
cualquier otro país
likewise
del
above
tercer mundo
any other third world country
y por encima de muchos
and
países
above many
desarrollados.
developed countries.
Podríamos decir que nuestros niveles
We
de
could
educación
say
y de
that
salud compiten
our
con los
educational
Estados
and
Unidos.
health levels are competing with
Y en
those
unos
of the United
cuantos
States.
índices
And in
están por
several indices, we are above
ya
them,
que no tenemos analfabetismo
since we do not have any
y
illiteracy.
los analfabetos
And the
funcionales son
functional
un mínimo.
illiterates are a minimum
Estados Unidos
group in our country. And in the United States, it's tens of millions.
Well, thank you. I know this is a difficult question, but Cuba has been accused in the past years of being involved in the drug trafficking business. How would you like to answer that statement?
Bueno, primero habría que ver quiénes nos acusan.
Well, first of all, we would have to see who are the ones that are accusing us.
En realidad,
And actually,
las acusaciones han salido de gente
sometimes these charges
sancionada
have come from people who have been
y le han ofrecido
sanctioned,
todo tipo
and
de
they have been offered
beneficios.
all sorts of benefits
Detrás de
so that they accuse Cuba. Behind these charges, Ted, there is a political objective,
son absolutamente calumniosos.
and they are totally slanderous. We can say that they are truly cynical,
Porque paradójicamente
because
creo
paradoxically speaking, I believe that the
que en el
country
mundo ha tenido una conducta
that
más
has had the best behavior in the world with respect to drugs, it's Cuba.
Nuestro país no consume
Our country does not consume drugs.
los casos de consumo.
There could be some exceptional cases of drug consumption, despite the fact that marijuana, for instance, could be harvested in a room like this.
Nuestro país no conoce el
Our country
de la cocaína.
has no experience about the consumption of cocaine. It simply does not exist in the country.
Yo creo que si todos hubieran
I believe that if all countries
con relación a las drogas
had done what Cuba did with respect to drugs, we would not have the problem of drugs in the world.
desgraciadamente tuvimos el caso
Fortunately,
de un funcionario que se
we had the case of some officials that were corrupted and became the accomplices of some drug trafficking activities. But the response of our country was exemplary, as no other country has responded.
sancionamos con las penas más
We sentenced them with the most severe sanctions. That is, in the case of the officials
en el tráfico de drogas,
who were
cual creo
proved
que hemos
to participate in this drug trafficking. And with this, I believe we have totally rid ourselves from this evil. We have expressed our readiness even to do coordination activities with other countries, with the Mexicans know this, the government of Colombia knows this. On the other hand, the government of the United States has not accepted any type of agreement with respect to this question of drug trafficking because of political problems. The administration does not want their friends from Miami criticizing it because of signing some sort of an agreement with Cuba as to drug trafficking. Our laws are harsh, but if it were necessary,
Podríamos incluso
We could even draw up even harsher laws because we are felt indignant, offended
de que los narcotraficantes quieran
when drug traffickers try to use our territory
realizar actividades de este tipo.
to do activities of this nature. Naturally, there are three air routes crossing our country.
Si nosotros prohibiéramos
If we banned these air routes,
habría cientos
that
de
would
millones de dólares
cost hundreds of millions of dollars to the
que navegan
enterprises that
sobre
travel over Cuba.
tampoco podría hacerse porque estaría en contradicción.
We could not do this either because that would violate the international agreements.
Nosotros no podemos registrar
We
los
cannot
aviones que vuelan por la
register the planes that travel through the corridors. But in the end, I believe that we have been exemplary in fulfilling our duties as to international traffic. We are ready to reach any international agreement and take any measures necessary as a contribution to the struggle against this tragedy of drug trafficking.
On the other hand, we understand that you're easing restrictions on religious expression and that the Pope may even visit Cuba next year. Could you explain, please?
Puedo decirle que en realidad
What I can say is that
las manifestaciones religiosas han tenido
religious expressions have actually had total freedom of expression in our country, and that is well known.
Surgieron conflictos
There were certain conflicts that came up during the initial years of the revolution with the Catholic Church, and not with the Catholic Church as such, but rather with the hierarchy of the Catholic Church,
consecuencia de que
as a result of the
la
fact that
religión católica estaba
the
extendido fundamentalmente en
Catholic religion had expanded mainly among the
revolucionarias.
richest sectors of the population, and revolutionary laws did produce certain contradictions,
Contradicciones serias entre
serious contradictions
y la revolución. Esos
between
sectores
these
trataron
sectors and the revolution. These sectors tried
la iglesia
to use the church against the revolution. But despite
El problema fue manejar
everything, the problem was handled very carefully
el gobierno
on the part of the revolutionary government.
Se cerró una iglesia,
There was never a church closed.
medidas de
There were never
represión.
any reprisal measures taken against religious
De ellos
expression.
pueden dar testimonio
And witness to this are many churches in our country
Han tenido siempre una relación
which have always maintained a relationship of
hacia la revolución.
respect toward the
El
revolution.
problema era de otro tipo.
The problem was of a different nature. That is, when the party
Y
was
precisamente
created,
como consecuencia
and
de
precisely as a result of these contradictions,
que habían surgido con una de las
which had
iglesias,
come up with one of the churches, there had been very strict standards that were established as to entry in the party.
entonces no estaban incluidos los
This did not include in the party membership
profesaban algunas
those who were religious.
culturales.
That was a junctural
Pasados
measure.
los años,
Years have passed,
entendemos que
and we believe that that is a discriminatory principle, and we have made the decision
esa
to
dificultad,
overcome
por lo
this
tanto,
difficulty, and therefore
caminamos hacia una
we are
política
moving
de
toward a
aceptación
policy of
en las filas de
acceptance within the ranks of the
aquellas
party,
personas
of the people
estando de acuerdo con
who,
el programa del partido,
agreeing with the party
estando de acuerdo
program,
con la revolución,
with the revolution,
defender su patria,
and being ready to defend the homeland,
alguna creencia religiosa.
do have some religious belief.
La visita del
Concerning the visit of the Pope,
acuerdo
there is no
de la fecha de
agreement as to the possible date, so therefore we cannot
de fecha de la
speak
visita
about any
Papa Cuba.
future visit and the date of that visit to Cuba.
We're going to take a break now, and when we'll come back, we'll talk about Cuba's relations with the Soviet Union. Stay tuned.